Welcome back to Keto Family. Today we're making a low-carb, keto-friendly red velvet cake that is absolutely decadent. If this is your first time with us, don't forget, hit the subscribe button below and the bell icon so you don't miss upcoming videos. Alright lovelies, it is great being back. I know it's been a little bit since I last posted a video. I've had some personal stuff going on that's kept me away, but I'm back now, so I should be able to be bringing you more consistent videos. Alright guys, so I'm not lying, this red velvet cake is absolutely to die for. You will love this. We're going to also be making a cream cheese frosting for it, but of course cream cheese frosting, I'm not going to tell anyone if you eat it straight out of the bowl and not frost a cake with it. It is that good. Alright guys, so to get started with this, we will be using the stand mixer today. If you have a hand mixer, that will work too. I just prefer the stand mixer because it makes things a little bit faster, a little bit easier. First ingredient we're going to put in is going to be 3/4 of a cup of our sweetener of choice. My sweetener choice is going to be the Pure Stevia. I find that it tends to blend really well with a lot of different recipes without leaving that artificial sweetener taste to it. You can use any sweetener choice that you want. That's just my sweetener of choice. We're going to add 4 tablespoons of softened butter. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and mix these together for a minute or two until they're very well combined and starting to get a little bit light and fluffy. Alright, so our sweetener and butter has combined. I'm just going to knock down the edges a little bit. Get these back into the center. So the next ingredient to go in is going to be 2 eggs. And since I'm going to be putting these through the blender, I didn't bother mixing them ahead of time. I'm going to do a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then we're going to add in 1 cup of sour cream. Alright, we're going to mix our wet ingredients together now. In here I have a 1.5 cups of almond flour that's already been sifted. Don't forget guys, you always want to sift your powders and your flours. You don't want any lumps or bumps in there. Into the almond flour I'm going to add 4 tablespoons, also known as a 1/4 cup, of coconut flour in there. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, unsweetened cocoa powder, your brand of choice of course. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of cream of tartar, 2 tablespoons of baking powder. That was 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. Alright, so we got all that together, we're going to mix them in. And I apologize if you hear a little bit of background noise. My husband is in the garage working on something. I don't know. He does woodworking and he's got some project or another that he's knocking out today. Alright, now that our dry ingredients are all mixed together, I'm going to go ahead and get the wet ingredients in here. Alright, so now we just want to fold the wet and the dry ingredients together until they're all combined. Alright, so all of our ingredients have been combined except for the one last final and possibly the most important. It's going to be the food coloring. You can use whatever food coloring you want to put in this, but I went to Michael's and I picked up this one specific for red velvet cake. And the directions on the back of this one says to use 1 tablespoon per 8-inch cake that you're making. Since this is going to be making 2 8-inch cakes, I added 2 tablespoons. That might be a bit generous, but I figure you can't go overly much with the food coloring. There's no right or wrong here, it's to taste. Careful not to get that on your clothes because it will stain. Alright, we're going to fold the red food coloring in. This is when really the magic happens. It turns that delicious red velvet color. See, I knew I was going to be messing with the food coloring. I purposely picked a black shirt for this. That way if I get on me, you can't see it. I would also recommend not mixing this in a plastic bowl because this red food coloring, chances are, will leave quite the red tint on it. Use a glass bowl if you have one handy. All right, guys, look how beautiful that is. It is wonderfully red. Now I got two 8-inch round cake pans here. These are the silicone pans. I absolutely love these. I picked them up off Amazon for really cheap. And they're just the non-stickability of these are incredible. So you're going to divide your batter between the two. So now that our batter has been divided between these, I'm just going to tap them and kind of smooth the top down. So these are ready to go into the oven. I've got my oven already preheated, 350 degrees. These are going to cook, depending on your oven, anywhere 20 to 30 minutes. Just make sure you check the center with a toothpick. When it comes out clean, you'll know they're done cooking. All right, I'm going to stick these in the oven. I'll let you know when I get back exactly how long they cooked for. All right, my lovelies, so these have come out of the oven. They cooked at 25 minutes in my oven. Keep in mind yours might be a little different, so make sure you get that toothpick in there, make sure it's done when you take it out. The next part is the hardest part. We have to wait for these to cool. I have found out the hard way, and unfortunately more than one occasion, that if you do not let these cool enough before you try to remove them from the pan, you will have a hot crumbled mess. So what I do is I let these cool on the counter for next 30 minutes to an hour, and then I'll stick them either in my refrigerator or freezer for several hours. Let them completely cool off and harden before removing them out of here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and let these cool off, and I'll see you guys back in a little bit. All right, lovely. So I've gotten the cakes out of the refrigerator. They've been in there for probably the last 4 or 5 hours, and they've hardened up nicely. So I'm not afraid they're going to break apart when I remove them. And so here for the frosting, I've got my ingredients that we're going to put in the stand mixer. I got 8-ounce block of cream cheese. It has been softened. Since I took these out of the oven, I put these ingredients on the counter to soften them. And I got 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. What we're going to do is we're going to mix these on high till they're creamed together, nice and fluffy. And about halfway through, I like to scrape down the sides so I don't have any unincorporated ingredients up there. All right, and mix it up again. Alright, so that butter, that cream cheese is nice and fluffy in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the rest of my ingredients to it. I've got a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I've got a tablespoon of heavy whipping cream. You can scale the heavy whipping cream up or down as you need to make this a really nice spreadable frosting for these. And then I got my sweetener. Now the sweetener, as always, depends on you. This is Swerve Confectioners. It's about half a cup. My bag ran out, but it was almost a half a cup in there. And we're going to combine these together. Now keep in mind with that confectioner sweetener in here, you don't want to crank this up on high, or else you can get a big poofy cloud of sweetness in your kitchen and you'll be cleaning it up for weeks. I've done it, trust me. So start on low and work your way up from there. I'm going to scrape down the sides and go mix it up again a little bit more. And that is it for the frosting. Now I've got to say, I've tried several different frosting recipes to come up with a really good one. And this is a really good one. And now I do gotta admit, this is not my own recipe. I get this from Wholesome Yum. Guys, if y'all haven't tried her recipes out, go over there. I'm gonna leave a link in the description below. But this icing is amazing. It's the best one I've tried so far as the cream cheese frosting. I bet if I gave this to my daughter, she would happily lick it clean. Let me see. Now I'm gonna go ahead and remove my cakes from the silicone molds. Alright, lovely. So I got these out of the pans, and unfortunately the bottom of this one stuck a little bit, but it wasn't sticking like it would in a different pan. It stuck almost like suction in the center of the silicone pan. So I'm just going to frost over it, pretend like it's not there. You can always cheat a little bit. And so what it is, I just took my knife and walked around the edges of this one to remove some of this extra on the edges. There we go. Just like this. There we go. One, it gives it a little bit flatter top, and two, I'm going to use these extra bits to decorate it with when I'm all done with frosting. Now, before I even get started, I'll be the first person to tell you I have always stunk at frosting cakes. It has not been one of my strong suits. That's why I'm not a baker. I'm going to do the best I can because this tastes absolutely amazing. No matter how bad it might look, the taste is incredible. Alright, so I finally finished icing the cake. I know it's a little hard to see the white on the white plate. And guys, please bear with me. I know I'm not the best icer in the world. I did the best that I could. But since this is just for my family, I'm really lucky that looks and taste don't correlate because this tastes amazing. The cake part of this is so moist and this frosting is just absolutely perfect on top. So there's little pieces I trimmed off of it. What we're going to do is we're just going to run it across a grater to decorate the top with. And my infamous icing abilities is probably why I tend to make cupcakes and muffins more than actual cakes when it comes to desserts. I just really stink at it. Know your limitations, guys. Know them, accept them. It'll make you better. Alright, lovely, so there it is, all done. It looks absolutely adorable. Thankfully, I read this tip on using pieces of the cake to crumble up for topping because it hides a plethora of scents. Alright, y'all ready to see what this looks like on the inside now? Alright, lovelies, there it is. It is so cute. And this cake is so moist that you would not believe it's a low carb, basically almond flour recipe. It just like melts in your mouth. There's no dryness, none of that. Alright, so I'm probably going to stand here and finish off the rest of this. But guys, thanks for joining me. I hope you find this recipe helpful. And feel free to commiserate with me down below if you also have a hard time icing cakes or if you have any helpful tips and tricks for those of us non-inclined people to help make us better. Leave that down below. As always, leave me a thumbs up and I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.